Hi everyone, today we're here with my friend Avais.
Nice to meet you guys.
And Avais is a local e-commerce entrepreneur as well as the founder of a non-profit called the Utah Muslim Civic League. And today we're going to learn about his background and of being a Pakistani and growing up in Utah. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Perfect.
I was born in Nigeria, but my parents are of Pakistani background, and I grew up here in Davis County.
All right, well, we're going to get into it.
So I was born in Nigeria. My dad had a diplomatic passport, so he had traveled all across the world.
Yeah.
And when the Civil War broke out, I was born there, and he decided to go back to Pakistan. So he had decided he's gonna live there. He had all these hopes and dreams, and he started an IT college. And in that process, he felt the corruption, the lack of meritocracy in Pakistan. So at that time, he felt like, hey, I traveled all around the world. Which country is the one that my ideals are more reflected? Where would I want to raise my kids? And he said, United States of America.
It's like, yo, Davis, Utah is where it's at.
Davis County, Utah. Davis starts.
Okay, so for everyone, Davis, Utah is, can you describe it a bit?
Davis, Utah, describe it a bit. So now it's a little bit different, but 20, 30 years ago, it's Davis County, Utah is 20 minutes away from Salt Lake City, Utah. It's
north.
And at that time, it was a very homogeneous population. So growing up there, I went to Davis Ahmed. And in my graduating class of 800 people, one day I sat down and looked at the yearbook. And out of 800 people, I found only 8 were minorities.
Wow, 8 minorities. And this is amidst a population of Mormons. Like Utah's, well, not anymore. I wouldn't say it's predominantly Mormon. Would you say Utah's predominantly Mormon still?
I would say the culture maybe still, but that's kind of why out of all the places in the U.S., that's why my dad moved.
It's for the culture.
Yeah. Well, for the family culture. And my dad is also a poet. So he loved this place. It was inspiring to him. So it was the nature. And then also like the family values and family culture that brought us. What happened is, as I'm growing up, kids would ask me like, hey, how come you're not Mormon? And I would be like, how come I'm not Mormon?
Yeah, because you're a Muslim practicing.
Yeah. So my family, my dad is very spiritual and also practicing Muslim. And so, we'd grown up with that being our faith tradition. And now 99.9% of the people around me are asking like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's almost in a way because that was such a bubble at that time.
Yeah.
They didn't really know Islam was a big faith tradition. They didn't know it was an Abrahamic tradition. So the way they said it to me, I was like, man, why am I this like, weird Eastern religion?
Yeah.
And so it caused me to really learn about Islam, and it really caused me to be a comparative religion student. And it made it very hard for me to otherize people.
Because you felt like you were one of them. Like your white friend.
Yeah, I didn't see my friend, like I have a very good friend, Ryan Treft, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see him like, oh, Ryan is this white Mormon kid. He was just Ryan as a human being to me.
Your friend. Yeah. Interesting. So you grew up feeling, did you yourself feel other white?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely I did. I feel like I was the other, right? I was something very different, and I found that it's easy for us to humanize people who are either look like us, have the same faith tradition, have the same culture as us.
Yeah.
It's just on a human level, like hard to humanize somebody who's not the exact same.
But what's so interesting is that you didn't do that to them, and they looked different. I wanted to broaden the context of this conversation into like the world currently, like because I actually think that the root of the problem, a lot of the problems right now. As it concerns our relationships with each other and humanity at large, is this idea of otherizing. And that's where we find ourselves being mean to people or treating them less than because we are othering them, as opposed to doing like you did and seeing them as ourselves.
I agree with you. The challenge is it's kind of unnatural based on what we've learned, right? So I believe that we're born with love. Love is our natural default.
I believe that too. Yeah.
And we learn hate, right? And what we don't realize is it's either different corporations with different agenda, different governments, different politics on all sides that have this agenda that we as a voter, we as a contributor, that they're trying to influence us. So I think the first part to say is like, hey, look, all these things that I'm getting influenced by, those people have their own agendas. So for me to get to know somebody, the first part is for me to get to know somebody on a human level.
A human level. And, you know, so you're a big figure in the community here in Utah. And you have connections with people of all faiths. And, you know.
So I don't want to say I'm a big figure, but thank you. So I would say I'm very active. And just to kind of back up, I want to kind of give you the genesis of the reason that I started this work. 9/11 happened. And that was a real important, very important day for me, very vivid day for me. And I remember getting up and going to school, and in the Union building there was screens coming down, and they were playing the planes crashing into the towers. And as they were doing that, there was Osama bin Laden, and there was a call to prayer, and he was praying. And then all of a sudden, instantly, I knew that my life was going to be different, because I felt that people who had not been exposed to or learned about Islam at that time, they were going to learn about it from this event. And it was as I felt like, oh my gosh, these terrorists have hijacked my religion just like they hijacked the planes. And so at that time, I knew my life would be different, and I made an intention that if I ever get a chance, I'm going to do something that can let people see this unique view I have, right? Because I'm both a Utahn, I'm both an American, and then I grew up very much in the Muslim community. I really felt at that time I made an intention that I'm going to do, if I get the opportunity, I'm going to do this work building bridges.
Building bridges and humanizing people. Okay, Avais, so in the same lens of humanizing other people and not otherizing them, I have a hard time saying that word. How should we be viewing this conflict, or not should, but how are you viewing this conflict that took place on October 7th?
Well, the way that I've processed it so far is, number one, looking at what's happened now, right? So October 7th, that's a very tragic day that goes down in my opinion in human history. And what happened that day, the innocent lives that were lost, what Hamas did was totally atrocious and condemnable, and as a human and as a Muslim. And so that's a very tragic thing that's happened. But I think if you just look at it as a vacuum within of what's happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future, I think we're doing it some disservice. So I think we have to look at the conditions that Palestinians have been living in for several decades, and their ability not to, move around even in their own territory, and some of the settlements and other things that have happened. And we have to look and understand that, hey, look, these people are desperate, these people are in pain, and while Hamas doesn't represent them, we have to look at their suffering. And I think that's not only a good and kind thing to do. I think that's good strategy.
Yeah, good strategy. Can you speak more to that? In what way would you feel like it would be good strategy? And I think all of us would agree, a reasonable person would agree that killing Hamas, getting those hostages out, protecting Israel are top priorities. They should be top priorities.
100%.
The well-being of Palestinians needs to be right up here with those same objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's one of the frustrating things I would say from a humanistic perspective in the Muslim community is like, you know, the pain and suffering that Palestinians are going through right now, whether it's the lack of electricity, the lack of food, right? They're suffering, you know, with no good cause.
Yeah.
And is that going to eradicate Hamas? No.
Right.
That's just going to create more desperate people who are fertile ground for some politician from some terrorist group to brainwash and say, hey, look what happened to you. Now, you know, it's easy for you to turn them into somebody who's extreme.
Absolutely. What would be the flip side of this? So say that Israel decided, you know what, the cost of human life for Palestinians, it's too much for us to just drop bombs the way that we're doing, or airstrikes. What would that strategy look like? And what do you think could come of it?
So if I had the solution to that,
yeah,
I would be like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and everybody, you know, Winston Churchill combined.
But let's throw out some possibilities.
But one thing is, I don't think it is that, right? Like, because I think that's where we start, right?
Yeah.
And what do I mean by that? Like, there's been this Newton's cradle of violence going on for the past 75 years.
Can you explain what a Newton's cradle is?
So, you know, you guys have seen that, those different balls that are suspended by a wire. And what happens is as you pull one of the balls and you let it go, the resonance comes and the other ball starts coming back with different force. So what's happened is we kill somebody comes back and kills more people, and that just keeps on going.
Right.
And over the last, 75 years, over 5,000 Palestinians have been killed in this conflict, right? So we should all agree that whatever the solution is, it's not that.
Okay.
And all that does is make angrier people, and it actually creates more people that are angry, that are looking for, that are violent and are hateful.
Right.
So I think definitely the number one thing is to stop that, right? And I think as humans, we should look at, hey, what is the cause for this anger? And we should address those humanitarian issues, and we should address the issues that are going on in the region, right? Whether that's property, right? Like the Palestinians, they don't really have their own state.
Right.
So are we going to give them a state, or are we going to actually let them be Israeli citizens? Right now, they're just sitting in the ether.
It's so true. And I wonder at times, whatever happened to dialogue? Why are we solving problems in the, geopolitics through dialogue? Why are we going about this like the eye for the eye type of thing? And like you said, it's perpetuating this cycle. With all the pain that has happened in Israel, which I don't want to undermine that on any
at all
level, and it is continuing to happen because people are missing. People have been so hurt. The aftermath of that is a giant wound, especially for Jews who have that history and the trauma of the Holocaust and everything. This is like an echo for them. I can't imagine the pain. And even with that, it's like, if a mother loses a son, say, I read this, a mother had lost a son to Hamas, and I know there's many people over 1,500. But anyways, this mother lost a son, and she said, may no other mom lose a son. I lost mine. That is my pain, and I don't want anyone else to ever feel the pain that I'm feeling. And I just thought, wow, imagine that as a world policy. Like you said, humanize people. Look at it as the mother who already has lost her child. If we all put ourselves in that position and really put ourselves there, our world would look insanely different.
So I agree with you. I think the first thing that people start doing is saying, okay, let's make an impact over there, right? And the first thing that you need to do is come to back to yourself, and first yourself and the sphere of influence. There's a story in our tradition that there was war and pestilence and all the stuff that's going on, kind of like right now. And there was a young man, and he was going to go see the oracle, the spiritual teacher of his time. And he was going to go there, and so he made this long journey, and he was going to go there and say, hey, oh wise one, what is the solution to all these things? And he thought he's going to go there and he's going to get, a litany response from this oracle, or he's going to give him an algorithm, in today's words, to solve all this.
Right.
And the teacher said, learn how to make good tea.
How to make good tea?
Yep.
Okay.
And what did he mean by that?
Yeah.
Was go have a conversation with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like get out of your box, make some tea, break bread.
Yeah.
Right? And get to know somebody.
That's not in your religion. That's not in your...
Yeah. So the first thing we can do is, if we're Muslim, if we have a Jewish neighbor,
yeah,
right? Instead of just saying, hey, that's the other person, let's go talk to them. Make them a cup of tea and say, hey, I'm really sorry about what's going on right now, what's happening in Israel, and I want to understand this from your perspective.
Yeah, and let them know that their pain is
your pain.
Like I know you're the same way. I have literally cried for both sides. I literally feel the pain, and that's because I see that girl at the festival as my sister. I also see that little boy who lost his parents in Palestine as like my son. Even though I don't have kids, I feel that love for him, that pain. Like that's what makes us human.
Every Muslim is not like Palestinian. Every Jew is not Israel, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's important to remember that. And we are not our governments. I don't...
100%.
Like, as much as I'm... Real talk, like, as much as I'm grateful to live in America for all that it grants me, I don't align with all of the American policies. I don't, and if I go somewhere and people see me as my government, I'm not my government. I'm a human. We're all humans, so see people as a human.
No, 100%. And I'm very fortunate that I've been able to experience it. Like when I went to Israel, like I had a tough time getting into the country because of my passport.
Yeah.
And the rabbi, he was so defensive of me. Right? He told the security that, hey, look, this person has went against his community. He's came out here and he's doing that at his own risk.
Right.
And that's very disrespectful for us to do doing that. And he got so angry that the security was like, hey, we don't care about your friend. You might go,
wow.
We might put you in the slammer if you keep on acting like that. And I have one message particularly for people that are watching that are Muslim, right? Like after 9/11, I felt like the new Muslim community on a meta level felt for like 20 years that we have to go out and say, hey, we are not terrorists, right? Like every attack that happened or anything that happened, we're like, hey, no, this is not us, right? So we did that for a while, but what we didn't do is we didn't tell people like, hey, we have this beautiful religion, beautiful faith tradition, like come into our garden, smell this rose, right? Smell our food, smell our culture. Like, what are we really about? Instead of saying, hey guys, we're not this.
Yeah, this is what we are.
This is what we are about. We need to, and our governor has this initiative about disagree better, right? The other thing is, in my personal opinion, we need to be able to have relationships and friendships with somebody who disagrees with us. We have to still look at that person as a human being.
Still humanize
them, and we have to be able to disagree better. We have to be able to speak to them and talk to them and be able to have this dialogue without saying, hey, that person, because they believe in this, they're not a human being, they're not worth talking to. Because what that's going to happen is we're going to get further and further, and there is going to be no solution. Everybody will just get onto their side of the camp, and we're going to blow each other up until this world doesn't even...
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to be, get on Elon Musk's flying into
Right? Yeah. So this is, I mean, I'm optimistic for the future. Yeah. I know right now, I'm not, my head isn't in the sand. I understand that horrible things are happening actually all continents of the world right now, but I have a strong belief in humanity, and I have a strong belief in humanity because I know people like you, and I know people I'm surrounded by that they care about humans, like regardless of anything. Just you're a human and you have dignity, and that's what I need to know.
And I mean, those kind of words even inspiring me because, just when I just think about my mind, I do look at what's happening and I'm like, maybe it's not going to get better. But then I think back to the superheroes that I have in my life and the amazing people that I have. I'm like, that there are amazing people out there. There are amazing people in our communities. There are some amazing people in government. There are some amazing business leaders. And I think that when we go out there and believe that it's not going to get better, we are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely. Yeah. We need to imagine a world in which we are all thriving, in which, again, it goes back to loving ourselves and loving our neighbor. Like, this grassroots movement is where it all starts. And through that, there'll never be a need for a bomb. There'll never be a need for any of that. Because you and I could have a conversation and disagree even, and at the end of it, still hug and plan our next time for tea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think in transforming yourself, transforming your community, then eventually there will be enough people, in my opinion, who have a higher consciousness, right? Where we can then resolve conflicts like this without so much violence and without so much hate.
Absolutely.
And so I think what happens is we start looking at kindness as weakness.
Yeah.
Where I think kindness can be a strategy.